Hey guys, welcome back. I want to start working on this ceiling tonight. I just got done doing a bunch of Christmas lights, which is on my other channel. We started wiring the house and stuff tonight, so that is on my other channel if anybody's interested in that. Okay, so what we did was we set this laser up to the height of the finished ceiling. What I mean by the height of the finished ceiling, it is the finished raised, the lowest part of the raised panel, which is the bars that hold the raised panels in place. So basically, this brown part here is the lowest part. That's where my laser is focused at. So that's what I'm going for. I have to drop the ceiling quite a bit to go under these stupid vents, but I thought about it and I cannot bring myself to bring the ceiling to it and then wrap these. I just want it all to look uniform and look the same throughout. So I'm just gonna have to have a little bit lower ceiling. So basically that red line is the lowest part of the ceiling, which I guess isn't horrible. I mean, obviously I can touch it with my hand if I reach up high enough, but that's fine. I mean, I'm 5'10". I don't really have any friends that are over 7 foot tall, so I don't think I'll have a problem. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I cut a few blocks so far. These blocks are about 19 inches long. So what I was trying to explain the other day with running cleats, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a block of 2x4, okay, and I'm gonna screw it to the side of this 2x10, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down, so I'm gonna put 2 screws through there into the 2x4. Then it's gonna hang down, that 2x4 is gonna hang down, and I'm gonna set that 2x4, let me think how I'm gonna do this. How am I gonna do this here? So let's say I'm touching the plywood there. I need to bring it up 4 inches from there. So I need to go up 4 inches from roughly 21.5. The reason why I need to go up 4 inches is there's gonna be 2 stacked layers of 2x4s, which is 3 inches. And then there's a piece of 1x that goes on the bottom of that, and it's actually 7/8 of an inch, but I'm just gonna consider it to be a 1x. So we're gonna come down, we're gonna go up 4 inches. So basically, from the plywood of the subfloor up here, from touching that, coming down, we're at 21.5, okay? We're 16th over, but we're gonna call it 21.5. So basically, I'm gonna go from 21.5, I'm gonna minus 4 inches off of that. So 20, 19, 18, 17.5. So that 2x4 is gonna hang down 17.5 inches. So I cut those too long. I need to recut those to, I'm gonna cut them to 17 inches. The reason why I'm not gonna cut them to 17.5 is I have a little bit of play. So if any of these joists have any bit of a sag in it, I can move, raise or lower that 2x4. So what you're gonna see next after I put these up is I'll come back and there's gonna be a bunch of 2x4s hanging down from these joists to the correct height. So that once I put 2 layers of 2x4s and then that trim piece, that'll be the finished height of it. So basically we're building the same structure that we did in here, but in here we did 3 2x4s because we could raise this ceiling higher, which to be honest with you, it's gonna end up almost the same height as in there. But anyways, this has 3 2x4s stacked up. In here, we're doing it differently because we have to go farther down because of these vents. So I don't wanna stack and have the weight of 5, 6 2x4s. Or the money, that's a waste of money. So by putting these kickers coming down off these floor joists, that is going to make up for that. And I only technically need 2 rows of 2x4s. This 3rd row is a waste. It's just in here because it was quicker for me to just put the 3rd row rather than building little kickers to come down for that. So that's why there's 3 in here, but technically it's only a 2-row drop ceiling, just like the rest of the house upstairs. So, all right, I'm gonna quit talking. I'm gonna get some of these kickers up. I think I'm gonna skip. I think I'm gonna put one every other joist because these joists are 16 on center, which is nice because most houses are 24 on center. So these being 16 on center, I'm gonna skip every other one, which should be plenty. I mean, I don't think I need any more strength than that. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get this wall done here first. We're gonna have to come over here, run kickers down this right here. I'm gonna have to run a row of kickers down the center too. So basically there's gonna be 3 runs of them just from this vent to the wall so that we have adequate 2x4s so that we can screw this grid in and running this laser is going to leave the ceiling looking perfectly flat when it's all done. Long as I measure these kickers right and place them all to the same height, we should have a nice level flat looking ceiling. So all right, I'll come back in a little bit and show you guys what it looks like. Okay, I have the first row done here, except for I gotta put one down at the end there, but I gotta drop down that electrical box. So I guess I explained it wrong before. I was trying to, sometimes I have a hard time explaining something. I know what I need to say in my head, but sometimes it doesn't always come out correctly. So basically what I do is I hold the block up and then I measure down while I'm holding the block up before I screw it in. And I'm right at the 4-inch mark. So what I do is I hold the block up and then I get it to the 4-inch mark on the tape measure, and then I screw it in up there. So now this whole row are all exactly 4 inches down. Actually 4 inches up from my finished ceiling. The finished ceiling will end up down on that 4-inch mark. So this wall's done. I'm gonna move down that electrical box, put one more in right there, and then these walls over here, I'm trying to debate how I'm gonna do these ones. I think I'll probably just put a kicker up here in there between the wall and that joist along this wall. And then I got to do a row down the center once I get the center point. So next I need to figure out what my measurement is from that beam right here over to this wall right here. Okay, so I need to get my measurement there, and then I need to minus 1.5 inches. The reason why I need to take 1.5 inches off that measurement is the 3/4 inch pine on this wall. The 3/4 inch pine that's going to be on that beam. So that's going to take 1.5 inches away. My final measurement, I need to divide by, I need to take my final measurement after I take off that 3/4 and 3/4, which is 1.5 inches. And then I need to take off 2 rows of 2x4s, which are 3.5 and 3.5, which is 7 inches. So once I minus off that, I'll write it down for you, but once I minus off that actual length minus 1.5 inches minus 7 inches, then I'm going to divide that, actually 7 inches, 14 inches, then I'm going to divide that by 4. And that's going to give me my exact squares for all 4 sections. I'll do it on a piece of paper so you guys can understand better. It's hard for me to explain, but that's what I'll do. That is my next thing. Once I figure out how wide my 4 squares are, I'll know where to put my next row of kickers coming down here, because that's where the 2x4 will go. So I'm going to go ahead and get back at it, and I'll come back in a little bit. Okay, so here's what we have. We have a total width from right to left, from that beam right there to that wall that's built, not those kickers, but to where the wall was built, is 131 inches. Okay, that's exactly a tight measurement. We're going to take off 1.5, which is 3/4 pine on each side. 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5, so 1.5. We're going to equals 129.5. And now we're going to have 4 rows of 2x4s. We're going to have laying flat. So we're going to have a 2x4 there, a 2x4 there, a 2x4 there, and then one against the beam. So that's 3.5 times 4 is 7, and 7 is 14. So we need to minus 14 off of the 129.5. We come out with 115.5. Okay, and now we have to divide it by 4. So we're going to take 115.5 divided by 4, and that's going to give us 28.875. So each square on the inside, from the inside edge of the 2x4 to the inside edge of the 2x4. So basically, if we have a grid here, there's a 2x4, there's a 2x4, there's a 2x4, there's a 2x4. So in each one of these squares, right to left, is going to be 28 7/8, because 0.875 equals 7/8 of an inch. So basically, we know that our 4 squares equally right to left are going to be 28 7/8 wide. So now I need to get a measurement from that wall back there over, probably just going to go to this edge here, to that edge right there, straight across, divide those up equally, and then probably redivide the hallway going down so the hallway might end up being a hair longer or not as long, but it will not really be noticeable. Or I could possibly just keep them all going the same. I'll probably keep them all going the same down the hallway, and then when I get to the end over there, I'll just let it be whatever it is. I'm not going to get too critical with it down there. I'm not too worried about it. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my other measurement, but I just wanted to show you how I did the math to come up with what size squares I needed. You know, if anybody's planning on doing this, I'm just trying to show how I came up with this idea, and how I measure it all out to get it looking equal. Now, let's say, for instance, you're off a little bit. Let's say that this row is 28 inches. This row is 29 inches. Let's say this row is 27 inches. You're really not gonna see it. I mean, it's gonna be so minute, you'll barely notice it. But I always try to get it as close as possible. If I'm within 1/8 of an inch on these four, or even 1/4 of an inch, I'm totally fine. It'll never be noticeable. But you just want to try to get it as close as possible. And believe it or not, it's a little easier working with a decimal point than it is a fraction. So, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's easier for me to go 0.5 or 0.75 for 3/4 of an inch, or 0.875 for 7/8 of an inch. It just seems to be a little bit easier for me, because then you can just take this decimal point and convert it into a fraction, and you'll know what you have at the end. So basically, after I did divide it by 4, I came out to 28.875, and then I knew that 0.875 on a decimal worked out to 7/8 of an inch. So, all right, let me get the other measurements, and then I'm gonna keep going. Okay, I have my measurement going the other direction now. Came out to 196.5, so 196.5. We gotta take off the pine that goes on that wall, and the pine that goes on the other side of this beam right here, which is 1.5, which is gonna bring us down to 195. And then we are going to do 6 sections of 2x4s. I drew them here. The X's are the tiles, and the 2 lines are the 2x4s. So we have 1 against that exterior wall, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total 2x4s, rows of 2x4s, which leaves us with 6 squares. Okay, so I minused off 3.5, 3.5, that's 7, 3.5 and 3.5, that's 7, that's 20, I'm sorry, that's 14, plus another 7 is 21, plus 3.5 is 24.5. So we need to take 24.5 off of this 195 measurement after we already took off the pine on each wall. We're going to take the 24.5 off. That's for all the 2x4s. We have a total of 170.5, and we want to divide that by 6 because we have 6 ceiling tiles, which comes out to 28, and I'm going to go 7/16 because it actually comes out to 28.41. 28.41, a 41 decimal is between 13/32 and 27/64. One line below 27/64 is 7/16. So basically what we're going to end up with is one ceiling tile is going to maybe be 27 3/4. So it'll be a hair smaller than the rest, and nobody's going to notice that. So basically what we're going to have here is we are going to have a ceiling tile that we're going to make that is 28 7/8 wide by 28 7/16. It's almost a perfect square, and you will never notice that it's not a perfect square. So that's basically what we're making here. So that means we are making 4 times 24 ceiling tiles, I believe it is, if I'm right. 6 that way, 4 that, or 4 this way, 6 that way. That's 24. So we have to make 24 ceiling tiles just in this area alone, and then go down the hallway, go down the other hallway, and then we got to do that side. There's a lot of work to do. So now that I know that, we're working right to left right now. So now that I know that there's 4 of them that are 28 7/8 of an inch wide, I need to put my next row of kickers. So basically I need to measure from, I'm probably confusing you guys, but I'm trying to explain it so that if anybody wants to do it, they kind of understand it. So basically I need to measure from the inside of this 2x4 over 28 7/8, and that's gonna be the inside of that 2x4. So that'll be my next row going this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those and put that up next, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, I have the first 3 rows of these up. They're perfectly measured, 28 7/8 between them. They're all down 4 inches. I have one more row to do, which should land somewhere right around here. This one 2x4 here I had to put on the opposite side of the joist, but that's not going to affect anything. And then I figured out what I'm gonna do with the 2x4s going this way, because I was worried about them. I didn't have anything to fasten them to. But if I run these 4 straight rows first, like this, straight through, I can screw that 2x4 to the bottom of those ones and then fill in between them. So then I'll have a nice sturdy and easy way to do that. So got quite a bit done here. Probably gonna end this video because it's gonna take me a little bit to get that last row in and start doing running the rows, the 2x4s and stuff. So I think I'm gonna end this video here and just show you how I'm doing this. And then I'll come back tomorrow and show you what it looks like with the grid starting to go up. Once I get the grid up over here on this side, I can start getting the pine on these 2 walls and then move on to the next section. So I'm gonna, I think I already said that, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, and I hope you guys are liking what you're seeing. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. And if you could, please like, subscribe, share. That would be awesome. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.